I'm throwing this on you on a whim here, so I don't expect you to have a list prepared, but we can workshop it. I actually saw this on Twitter today, but it was Tim Kirkjian answering this question he was asked. Now, the home run derby field is coming out. We don't still know somehow, a few days away, who's participating on Tuesday night. It's going to be a good young crew, it looks like. Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles is going to take part. Bobby Witt Jr. is a superstar from the Royals, will be a part of the home run derby. Pete Alonso is back again, who puts on a show and normally either wins or almost wins the thing. He's won 2 of the last 3 years, I think. So he's going to be there. But Kirkjian was asked, dead or alive, at their apex, 8 players make up a home run derby field. What 8 guys would you want to see in the home run derby? And I was thinking about that.
That's great.
I think I would use a couple spots on the real old timers just because I want to know how many of these stories are real. Like, let's get Babe Ruth to the box and see if he could hit a couple out. Let's see what he could do. My guess is he'd hit some home runs, but he's not going to hit them as far as the guys do now. Right? I mean, I always joke. I'm serious. It's a joke because there's no reason to discuss it. But like Babe Ruth would be an A-ball right now, trying to stay afloat, like just trying to make the Wilmington Blue Rocks. He'd be struggling. He'd be hitting 147, getting sent down to Fredericksburg right now. But I would want him in my home run derby field because he's the Babe. He's the great Bambino, the Sultan of SWAT. And I want to see what it looks like. Peak of his powers, home run derby field in Texas a couple of days from now. So he's going to make the cut. But how many spots do I use just to kind of find out if people are lying to me or not? Versus like
right, how many of those?
Barry Bonds in.
Yeah, do I want to see Tris Speaker? You know, like not really. He wasn't a home run hitter, but you know what I mean. Do I really want to see Rogers Hornsby and some of the guys from that ilk?
So my first thought was Bonds, McGuire, 98, Sosa, 98. Because we're going like peak of the powers, right?
Yeah.
Basically the roid users types. We're going to go Henry Aaron, Babe Ruth. So I'm up to 5. Do I just stick with the greatest home run hitters ever and like throw Pujols in there? Yeah, I think I will. I'll go Pujols, A-Rod, and maybe Willie Mays. No, you know what? Take Willie Mays out, put Ken Griffey Jr. in. That might be my 8. I want to see Ken Griffey, that sweet swing from the left side, one more time.
Always loved watching him. This is harder than you think. So I'd incorporate DC legend Frank Howard in there.
He'd be one of your 8 all time.
Yeah, because that dude hit moonshots, and that he swung and missed a whole bunch before it was cool to do so. But that's what he did. He hit bombs. I'd love to do that.
382 career homers, 70th on the all-time list.
Love to watch that. For example, give me Babe Ruth. Give me McGuire. Obviously, peak of his powers. I mean that by the way, that show and that display is still one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do on the field in St. Louis with my arms on the batting cage, snapping disposable pictures. That's how long ago this was.
That's great.
I was there during the weekend. We ended up getting to 500. Just patently absurd, the nukes that he would hit at various points. But I'm thinking of guys like that I never got to see that
So
hit
how many
bombs.
are you at now? How many spots have you used?
3
Okay.
so far. Like guys like Willie McCovey, who I never saw play, that just hit absolute, had 500 some odd bombs that I never got to see. Like I got to live through all the Ken Griffey's, the A-Rods, the Pujols', Canseco's, and company like that. God, but that's so hard. I don't know how you pick.
You're going down the depth chart a little bit.
I mean, guys that were prolific home run hitters in a different time, these municipal ballparks that were cavernous and massive, and they were still hitting balls into rivers, like the Willie Stargells of the world.
I thought about using one of my spots on Ted Williams just to see.
That'd be one.
Ted Williams, his swing, and to just see how he goes about around and takes his axe. And again, because it's like a scene out of Field of Dreams. Like they're not walking out of the cornfield, but he's coming up from the dugout, and that's 27-year-old Ted Williams. And I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that those guys swinging would stack up and hit home runs like the guys do now. But with the tight baseballs and the way everything flies and whatever humidors and things they're not using or using, whatever they're doing to make the ball fly on the home run derby night, maybe Ted Williams will go out there and have a round.
Well, Ted Williams without any kind of like weight room. You know what I mean? Like not one of these guys. The guy never did an up down. The guy never did like
Right.
a set of bicep curls. You know, he was busy doing fighter pilots and being the greatest bat the ball guy ever
But
to
he had
live.
benefits too. I mean, he was hitting guys that were throwing 84,
Oh, sure.
who also had
But,
never met a weight.
We're talking about hitting BP. You know, give him a modern
Yeah.
time. I think that guy would
No,
hit
I
bombs.
understood.
Yeah. So
521 career home runs, tied for 20th all time with McCovey, who you mentioned, and Frank Thomas.
missing multiple years doing military service too, by the way. So yeah, I mean, this is a tough list to come up with, but I would slant more towards the old timey guys that I never got to see play.
Maybe Josh Gibson
There's a good one. Yep.
gets a spot on
There
the
you go.
list. I saw Kirkchin talking about that. Thought that would be fun.